Thank you. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Venkata Subbarao. We are a Canadian firm and we are specialized in intelligent transport solutions. And we are in India for about 16 years now. And we have been selective in taking projects and then being associated with the transformation of the transportation systems in India. So today I would like to briefly talk about three things. One, want to emphasize that yes, I think India is actually at the cusp of a big mobility, I say revolution, rightly said by the other speakers. But having said that, I think there are a lot of challenges that needs to be acknowledged and need to be overcome. And the second important point is that what are the key things that we have been doing, and then how we can be able to overcome those challenges. And then last but not least, the way forward that we recommend, that how this revolution can be put to a right right path. So having said that, yeah. Okay, so this is what I'll try to stay a bit 2 minutes on this slide. What I call it as an urban mobility conundrum that we have in India now. There's a lot, big aspiration is big. I think people have been talking about sustainable mobility. We call it about smart mobility. We have shared mobility. We have green mobility. We have safe mobility. A lot of aspirations. Having an aspiration is really good, but having a clear understanding of that aspiration, converting that aspiration into a vision, mission, and action is very essential. And you take any one individual to a corporate, to any entity, has been successful only when they are able to dream about it, and then they are able to dream is been translated into action and outcomes as results. So I think it's important. These words are a lot of times are misread and misassumed. Like for simple example, what I keep giving to my team is that having a tap is often confused to be a provision of water supply. It's not. Having a tap is a tap, but ensuring that clean water flows through that and the purpose is served is what is the end it needs to be understood. So most of the times the means is confused to be the end. So that is something that I think has been the biggest challenge that what we have seen having worked in several assignments. And in fact, we work in Bangalore, we work with Anjum sir on BMRCL. We are in fact working on the third phase of the metro, where we are advising them on the transit-oriented development and a lot of aspect about how station design has to be done to make sure that it actually facilitates the users for the purpose for which they are using it, and the last mile connectivity, the non-motorized transport, all those things in a way to make sure that metro becomes really a sustainable transport mode. The second important thing that actually is about the technology. People think that technology is like is smart. Putting technology is smart. Like putting a camera is smart. Putting a video wall and having a entire thing displayed on a video wall is smart. No, I think that's something that we should be very clear. These are only a media. So what it means is that through this sensors, we need to capture the data, make sense out of this data, and then ensure that this data is being used in the day-to-day problem solving and decision making. I think this is one of the important lessons that we also have. And when we do a reality check, let's say in terms of a sustainable mobility, what are we talking about sustainable mobility for so long? Right, the automobile segment is continuing its sprawl. Are we able to get the public transport users onto its share? Like, very unfortunately, what we're talking about, the people project 6 lakh, 7 lakh ridership on a metro, and then finally we see only 5 lakh. The economic viability, financial viability is all taken for a toss, right? So it's important for us to understand that while we want sustainability, we all have to agree to make some sacrifices. I think this sacrifice has to come in all from individuals to the enterprises to the governance, the people who are running the government. So it is important that it needs to be talked about. And the other important thing that what we are seeing is the rise in pollution, because though we have lots of talk about the electric vehicle, alternate fuels, everything is fine, but how do you bring that into a united action to achieve an outcome? So that's the most important thing that we need to think about, right? And also one of the important things that we are also facing is the road safety. We actually see about almost 5 lakh accidents annually, and then half of them are fatalities. So it's something, a grave situation that we have in terms of having a good and quality infrastructure, and very unfortunate, like the other speaker was actually telling, only when we have a catastrophe, we raise to the occasion. When we have a very high profile person meeting an unfortunate death, and then we start talking about this will be there as a hype for some time, and then again we forget about it, and then the things become normal. But it's important that I think we should take it seriously, and it should be tied down to outcomes. The most important thing that what I've realized in all my 25 years of service is, it's important, whatever the action that you may take, whatever the vision you may have, end of the day, you need to tie it to an outcome. So make sure that we are actually measuring an outcome, and then making sure we are actually going back to the laboratory or to the drawing room to make sure that we rework on it, and then we are able to get through the outcomes. So that's the most important thing. So having said that, what we see is there's a lot of enablers that we see in the market today and in the environment. We have rapid urbanization, which is a great opportunity. I think it's important. These are the economic engines. No denial. I think we should facilitate. The world is talking about 60% urban population. We are still at 35-40%. There's still a huge element of opportunity and the growth. We should facilitate this. But I think it's important that we can't have this influx coming in and it leading to a disaster. So there's a huge amount of opportunity, and at the same time a responsibility, and at the same time an opportunity to perform. So that's very important for us to realize. There's good amount of alternate fuels research going on. I think thanks to people working on EV, it's a big revolution, and it's a great idea and a concept put to action. And I think we need to make sure that this is being leveraged much to the advantage. Like data and technology and intelligent transport systems, I think there's a huge amount of data that is getting generated today. Fortunately or unfortunately, the smart city mission has in 100 cities so much of IoT sensors that we see spread across, but I'm not very sure how this data is translating into a meaningful actions. And at the same time, there's good amount of public-private partnership. There's a lot of private sector coming in to invest. I think these investments have to be rightly channelized for the right opportunities and the right focused outcomes. Plus the social, economic and governance reforms that are actually going in the country. It's a right climate that is being set up for the right actions. So that's, with all these enablers, I clearly trying to put through that it's edging towards a big revolution. And I think the ownership and the responsibility is on us, that we put this revolution on a right track. Otherwise, it could be a catastrophic to the entire ecosystem. So that's the bottom line that I wanted to. I think these are few deterrents which I try to summarize. I think I'll skip for this. What is important is there are five Panchatantra I just wanted to prescribe, which we have been successfully deploying it in our projects. One of the most important things that I see is the awareness. The most importantly, what I see is there is a huge gap between the stakeholders understanding about a concept, whether it is an electric vehicle or it's an alternate fuel or a road safety or a shared mobility. There's a huge gap amongst awareness. The end user has absolutely zero understanding about. He is not bothered whether it's an electric vehicle or whether it's a metro or he's bothered about how fast I'm able to reach my destination in a safe way. And most economically. And whether it's people or goods, I think that's an important botheration. So are we really taking that into consideration? I think that's important for us to understand. I think a lot of campaign that needs to run to bring people to that, then only the responsibility comes. Then why do I encourage people to use only an electric vehicle? Why should he use? There's no reason why I should ride an electric vehicle. So I think it's important to make them aware about the complex outcomes that is there, and database decisions. I think I emphasize that point. A lot of data gets generated. Make sure that this data is being opened up to the public and to the right forums, so that the startups use this data to make sure the right kind of decisions are taking. A lot of research can be facilitated, because lack of data, lack of inputs, the research goes in a different direction, different dimension. At least I can say I've seen a lot of multi-crore projects getting delayed because of the wrong decisions being taken, because wrong data that is being put at the planning stage. Like for example, the 7 lakh ridership leading to a big investments of 1,000 crore plus thousands of crores of investments in a metro. Probably and you are not able to realize the ridership, then that money, it could have been spent on a different infrastructure altogether. Different purpose for which the outcomes could have been much better at a later point in time. I think that's important. Mission mode, I think it's important that we need to understand that every project to be taken up on a mission mode. I think the saving in time, saving in making sure that we stick to the scope and we make sure that we are focused on outcomes and engaging the right kind of stakeholders, it's very important. And the fourth important is the performance orientation. I think every project, every research, every activity in the mobility era should be put through a performance process. I think it's important that we evaluate ourselves individually, as a company, as a project, as an enterprise, or as a government department. I think every one of us have to go through that performance orientation and focusing on the KPIs. I think it gives a lot of visibility about the direction in which we are going and correcting the course to make sure that we are on the right track and outcomes are actually achieved. And citizen centricity or the user centricity is the last and most important. I think end of the day, if you forget the end user, whatever research that we do, whatever effort that we put in, end of the day, that will be put through of no use, and it will be drained. So I think it's important that we don't forget that every step that we take, I think we need to make sure that we keep the end user in mind. I think that's, with that short thing, I actually just wanted to give you a quick snapshot about what we have done. Like in the previous presentation, we are also into traffic signaling systems. We just implemented a traffic signaling system in Hyderabad, and where we are actually able to rightly put the use case what doctor was actually proposing, that the signals listen to traffic and then provide the green times, and then we are actually now have successfully deployed this in Hyderabad, and we are actually able to make sure that the people get the green, continuous green when they are driving in a corridor. I think probably somebody visiting Hyderabad, we would like to experience that and then come back to us. And similarly, I think this is something that example that I was trying to show. In the interest of time, I will not, it's a pre and post. I think it's important that we study the pre and the post of every investment or every initiative that has been taken, so that we know that we are in the right track, right? So prior, what is the delay that is actually happening, and post, what is the reduced delay or what is the savings in travel time that is actually there. It's very important for people to realize. This is a simple case that I just wanted to put it across. So I think these are some of the projects that we have implemented in Hyderabad and other places. So with this, thank you, Jose, for giving me this opportunity, and thank you everyone for listening to me. Thank you very much.